All right. Good morning, guys. Sorry I was a little late there. Happy to see Brian. A few other people in here. This is awesome. So today, yesterday didn't quite get to finish talking about the different types of items that make sense on eBay to sell, media items. So I'm going to continue talking about that. Maybe throw a few jokes in. Also, somebody just asked me in a comment on a video that I made about Gaylords. Maybe we can talk about that as well. If you guys have any questions, I can definitely answer any questions. I had a few eBay sales, so I'll talk about that as well. And let's get started, guys. Let's see here. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. We're gonna strive, we're here to learn, we're gonna earn. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live, we're flippin' live. Have I had trouble with media mail? A little bit. Definitely a little bit. Specifically, what do you mean by trouble? I assume you mean that things not showing up on time. Because I have read about that in some of the Facebook forums, that's for sure. All right, fixing something. Okay, yeah, for sure. Afternoon listening will make art and design teacher, also do eBay part time. Oh, great! So we have South London reseller from London. That's awesome. Glad you guys are here. She said that you are a art and design teacher. Oh, that's awesome. Great. So yeah, speaking of media mail, well, not just, but yesterday I got an email from a customer who purchased a Elton John CD. Let's see, I mailed it on April 21st, and they're in the East Coast. So it got to New Jersey on the 26th, and then it seemed to disappear for a few days. Hey, Pop. And then the next message 4 days later said something along the lines, of it's in the system and they'll update it when it stuff staying in transit for weeks. And so that was, what is today, the 5th? I sent them the email yesterday. I basically told them, it's been happening, not a ton, but it's been happening a little bit for me. So that's, what is that, the 21st? So that's, it's been like 2 weeks for an item that should take maybe a week at most. Even though media mail is pretty slow, it usually gets there pretty efficiently. So it got there. I mean, it's still on transit. Basically told them that this happens, unfortunately, and sometimes it can take up to a month. But I said for them to hang on till the end of this week and see if there's any update or if they've received it yet. And I've had this happen in the past, not just during this time. When things are seeming to go, it seems like the post office is overwhelmed in part, or they might just be making mistakes. I don't know, but this seems to be happening more in general, but according to other people. But it's happened before the quarantine, before the virus started happening this year. So it's nothing new, I would say. So I'm not surprised that it is happening, but it does seem to be a bit of a surprise that for other people it's happening more often. And I just told them just to wait and be patient because it does happen, and it should show up that it's being on tracking, or that it will be delivered. Basically, that seems to what has happened in the past. Almost every time that some package was super late, it usually ended up arriving at the customer's house or home or business or whatever it may be. So I just tell people to be patient. But yeah, definitely it not happening a lot, but it has been happening a little bit for me. Um, have you decided? Brian says, have you considered designing T-shirts for Amazon merch? Um, one second on that. Curious if you have the post office pick up your items or if you drop them off. I'm a little worried to leave them outside for them to pick up. Yeah, I've never done pickup. I always just drop them off myself. Let's see, there's two post offices that I live near. One in my city and another one in a adjacent city. And I usually go to the one nearby in the other city because it's a larger post office. They have way more parking. More It's just a bigger facility, so it's easier for me to drop off a bunch of packages, and sometimes I have a bunch of big boxes that I'm shipping, so I usually just drop them off over there. Even if I have, like yesterday I had like 15 packages, I think. I had about, or 16 or so, like, so anyway, close to 15 packages, and only two boxes. The rest of them were envelopes, so it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a bunch of boxes and taking up a bunch of space. But no, I've never had it picked up. I hear people do that, but usually I hear people do that. A lot of people that do that, they have too much, so they don't want to have to hassle going down, or maybe their stuff's too heavy and they don't want to hassle with having to carry it and that type of thing. Oh, you're asking. Yeah. So definitely keep asking the questions. I had a couple sales yesterday on eBay. This is the funny thing about, in general, I mean, about eBay or about Amazon. You just never know. Well, I don't know if it's funny, but you never know. You know what your sales are going to be. It's always up and down. Let's see. So on Amazon yesterday, I did pretty well. I don't know how many sales it was. It doesn't tell me. Today, no sales yet, but I had $100 worth of sales yesterday on Amazon, which I'm happy with considering I'm not sending very many items in these days. Um, and yesterday I had some good sales I shared with you over the weekend on eBay. But over the night, I had two sales on eBay: Chronicles of Narnia, the silver chair. This one I just listed like a week or so ago. Didn't make much on it. It was $7, but sold that, pulled that out of a Gaylord. Actually, I'm taking offers on everything now, so I get some funny offers on some of this stuff. But basically, that one was I listed for $7.99, and then I got a $7 offer, so I just took it. I'd rather just make the sale and keep it moving basically. And then this one also I listed probably a couple weeks ago, 3 or so weeks ago. It's a DVD collection called the Gottman Institute Therapy Sessions Live. So it's training DVDs for clinicians. So I guess couple therapy. And it's actually, this is another example. I've talked about this before. Here's one that is actually missing a DVD. It's missing, so it's supposed to be 5 DVDs, and it's missing DVD number 2. But it seemed to be enough of a demand for it that I just listed it with the missing DVD, and it sold. Let's see, it sold for, right. I got an offer on it. I think it was up for like $34.99 or $32.99, and then someone offered me $30. So I was definitely happy with that, especially because it's missing a disc. And these items usually go for good money anyway, and so I took the $30 offer on that. So that was good. Um, so those are my couple sales. I listed probably like a handful of CDs yesterday, probably like 6 or 7 on eBay. So I have another stack over here of like 20 CDs that I'm gonna slowly start listing as well. And then I have a bunch of kids DVD lots that I photographed yesterday, and I'm gonna start listing today. I listed a bunch of DVD lots on eBay, movie DVD lots that I sell usually around 100, like 95 to like 140 per box, depending on how big the box is. I just pack as many as I can into a box, and then I list those, photograph and list those on eBay in an auction for, I just say wholesale, resellers. There's a section on eBay where you can do for DVDs, you can put it into wholesale section. And so I sell them that way. These are all like copies of movies that I don't I can't sell individually, and are more popular, more common, more well-known titles that I'm not going to try to sell locally in my sale either. Sometimes I already have a copy, or it's one that I'm just not going to bother selling locally, so I just put them into the lots. Let me share. I made a little video. Where is it? Here it is. This one's actually about the kids DVD lots, so I can show you in my warehouse how many I put together. Let me share this with you.
This is what I was up to this morning. It is time for lunch now, but I started this whole process a couple of hours ago. This represents 43 kids DVD lots that I will put up on eBay starting today and probably going into tomorrow. So basically I weighed, photographed, and then stacked up all of these. And what I did is I actually put them in this book that I have here, this little notebook, and I put them all in here, what the DVDs are, and then I put the amount and the weight so that I can just go in there with my DVD lot template and just drop in the amount, the types of DVDs, and what the weight will be. I add a couple pounds for shipping, and that's about it. So I can get through a fair amount of listing all of these pretty quickly. Basically, that's what I did this morning. So I think I'm showing this in the live stream, which is awesome, Flippin Live. But anyway, that type of thing I've been doing a lot lately. I actually kept back a lot of the kids DVDs that are more popular, such as like Barbie, Dora the Explorer, Veggie Tales, a lot of other ones. Also, I do really well with the Pixar, any Disney DVDs, DreamWorks, and the other ones that are really popular like Ice Age and that type of stuff. You can put those together as animated videos and make DVD lots, and you can either do auctions, or if you're willing to wait and have the space, of course you can do buy it now. What I've been doing is mostly auctions. This time I'm probably going to mix it up a little bit and do some of them as buy it now, because this will be a week-long auction anyway, and I'll see how many of those sell within the week, and see if I want to maybe change it to auction, or just wait it out, depending on how it goes. So thanks for being part of the live stream.
All right. That was my first time playing a pre-recorded video on the stream, so that went well. Brian asks, with the DVD and CD lots, do you prefer auction or fixed price? Oh, awesome. Pat is here. Welcome. Thank you for stopping in. I'm glad you can be here for the live show. Definitely. With the DVD and CD lots, do you prefer auction or fixed price? I think you've mentioned before. So I almost always do auction. Now, a lot of people will probably say, well, you make more money with buy it now, and you probably will. But I just, in my situation, I'll get to that in a second. Good question. In my situation, because I was sort of inundated with DVDs specifically, well, CDs as well, but DVDs too, because they're bigger, and there was just a ton of them in the Gaylords that I had. I wanted to get through them fast and make money off of them as quickly as I could. So I was just doing auctions. If you're willing to wait and you have the space and the patience, you can definitely put together DVD lots and do it buy it now, take offers, that type of thing. With those 43 kids DVD lots, I'm going to experiment and try a handful, maybe 10 or so, where I'll do buy it now. On the ones that after I do a little research, there's certain ones that might do better, might actually bring in more money. Like I like I have a ton of Barbie ones together. I have a ton of like Thomas and Friends and Dora the Explorer and a lot of these other pretty popular titles. And so I'll look them up and see what they're selling for, buy it now, and see if it's worth my time to wait it out maybe. And considering that the auctions are going to be 7 days anyway, it I'm going to see within those 7 days if those ones that I put up for buy it now actually sell within that time period. And usually kids DVD lots are really popular, just like kids books. And it's a similar situation where if you put lots together of kids books on eBay, they tend to sell really well if they're priced right. And I think it's the same thing because I've done it in the past where I've same thing for DVD lots. I've done it in the past where I've done buy it now, and if I remember correctly, it's been a little while. They sold pretty quickly, so I think it just has to do with what the collection is, and where you've priced it. So it's just a matter of doing a little research. So I'll probably do some buy it nows, but usually I've been doing auctions because I just want to get them out of there, make the money, and keep it going. So because these are my last DVDs for now, uh, I might just try to do buy it now for some of them, but usually I do auctions. Um, yeah, he said auction sells things faster but risk lower profit. But sometimes you can be surprised and make a lot more. Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely. That's the thing with auctions. It depends on your situation. If you're buying in bulk like I am, and you have access to lots and lots of this stuff, then it might make more sense to do auctions because you can get through them quickly, uh, and you can just keep it moving. Pull them out of the Gaylord, check the discs, sort them out into genres, whatever it may be. Photograph them, and then go home or whatever. List them on your computer, and then wait for them to sell. I mean, within a week, and within a week they'll sell. And typically, if you're experienced with doing this, how to put the lots together and what's actually going to sell, and which takes time. But yeah, definitely, it's I guess semi risky because there's generally, if you're willing to wait, more money and buy it now. I mean, it's the same thing as all these individual items that I put up for buy it now. If I were to do auctions on them, it wouldn't make sense because I'd get a penny for some or $1, because you just have to be patient and wait for the right person to come along and pay what you're asking. So it's definitely patience, but also space and how quickly you want to get that money as well, even though it might be a little bit less. But if you have a lot of it, then it can make more sense to get through it faster. And some auctions will do really well, especially with certain items, like certain CD genres, like some rap genre or punk, or also classic rock does really well for me. Hard rock also, that type of stuff can do. Heavy metal can do really well in an auction if you've got some good titles together, or it's the same band, same group, same singer, that type of thing. Sometimes the auctions will do can do really well. I don't know if it would have, if buy it now would have done better if you would have waited. Maybe if you had, like I said, the patience and the space, then maybe it would make more sense. Um, Musashi San asked, "Where are you making more money now, Amazon or eBay?" eBay is killing Amazon right now for me. um, let's see. I'd say that for me, it was almost always Amazon. Was up there. When I was Amazon was always more than eBay when I was consistently sending in FBA shipments, for sure. But now that Amazon wasn't accepting shipments, and now they're finally accepting shipments, and things are slowed down, and buyers seem to be going. A lot of Amazon buyers seem to be going over to eBay, or just a lot more buyers are going over to eBay as well. It seems like for me, my eBay sales have picked up tremendously, but also it's because I've listed a lot more. So I would say that right now they're pretty close. My Amazon inventory, has gone down. I mean, it's probably around 900 for FBA now. and I usually am over like 1,000 items. So this is like pretty on the low side, but I'm still getting sales. Like yesterday, I had $100 in sales, which is good for me, especially with this low inventory, considering I'm not sending in consistently. But definitely eBay has is definitely right there with Amazon, but it varies from day to day. Like the day before, 2 days ago, my Amazon sales were much lower, like $35, and my eBay sales were much higher. So it's kind of like back and forth. And eBay is to the point to where um, consistently it's the same or more than Amazon. So it's a nice mixture right now, considering that I don't have a lot of stuff to send into Amazon or list on Amazon because I've gone through most of it, and most of what I have left is to list on eBay. So I'd say eBay is right there with Amazon for me, and a lot of times it does better on a day to day basis than Amazon does. That's for sure. And considering that I have, another 20 CDs here to list, and then I've got like another 60 in the, various media items in the warehouse to photograph and then bring home to list. And now I'm going through my last Gaylord. Uh, Yesterday I started going through my last Gaylord, and I'm already compiling another pile for eBay as well as Amazon. So I'll have a lot more to list. Um, Pat says, "Have you investigated on getting ungated for DVDs?" I have investigated it. I think there was one. I looked into one. What was it? Distributor, but I have not really tried. No. Um, but from what I understand, there are some companies that will help you get ungated. Like they'll do it for you essentially. If I'm correct. I have not looked into that. No. I unfortunately was never sold DVDs when I started on Amazon in 2014, uh, doing FBA. Although I think it was gated at that point too. But fortunately, I did do CDs quite a lot before they closed the music category in. I remember the date in November of 2016. So no, I've looked into it, but I haven't done it. Yeah, I think that I don't know. Uh, it might be Alliance Entertainment. Okay, yeah, it might be worth it for me to do it, and I might do it one of these days. But I just haven't made it a priority, and also I don't know. I have this apprehension to do it because I hear about people and issues with selling DVDs on Amazon. Um, and then I see all the people that have gotten ungated on CDs, and the CD resellers, FBA resellers on Amazon. I see how many people just come in with these ridiculously low prices. So it's pretty frustrating to see that, and not that I would be a DVD reseller that would come in with ridiculously low prices, but anyway, I'll definitely I'll definitely have to look into it. I'm sure if I were to do it and then have the opportunity to sell DVDs on Amazon, I would say, "Gosh, I should have done this years ago." So one of these days, I'll probably get around to it. Awesome. So we got 7 people watching, 4 likes. This is cool. So I wanted to jump into talking more about. So speaking of DVDs, yesterday uh, I spoke a lot about types of media items. Basically, is it eBay worthy for a media item? Like what types of items make sense reselling on eBay? Um, and I talked about CDs, and I talked about books. And books, that's a huge category. And I know a lot of resellers, book resellers, on the Facebook forums. I see a lot of people that started just doing Amazon like me with books, and have slowly opened up stores on eBay, and now are doing really well on eBay and saying, "Wow, I'm sure glad that I did that, because when things slowed down on Amazon and they weren't accepting shipments, my eBay sales, book sales, went through the roof, and it's become like a substantial income." So I'm always looking out for books that, I mean, everything in general, but all media, but books also for Amazon. I'm sorry, for eBay, that won't really make sense on on Amazon. And speaking of that, I made another video about an awesome sale that I made yesterday, actually on eBay. And this was after I did the live, not right after, but yesterday, like in the afternoon or something, when I was in the warehouse working, I got a notice on my phone that someone had made an offer on a book that I had up for sale. And this is a book that, here, I made a little video about it. I'll show you in a second. This is a book that I bought in February, which I might mention in the video, but I bought in February at a library book sale. This is, of course, before things were closed down because of the virus. So everybody was there. You know, this is actually a place I used to live. It's actually I'm here in Southern California. This was in you guys know where Pasadena is. It's Altadena. It's a city next to Pasadena, and they have a pretty good sized library. And I know they do a really large library sale, I think in the summer, but this was in February, and it was a little cold. Anyway, irrelevant. So basically, they had a lot of books outside, but then they also had a ton inside. And the ones inside were the nonfiction. And so, of course, there was a ton of resellers there. We could spend a whole live session talking about going to library sales and observing and dealing with other resellers. We should maybe, I'll jot that down. Library book sales. That's a good topic. But anyway, there was a lot of resellers in the room. Probably during the time that I was there was at least 10, maybe more. Majority of them had scanners, scanners, and then some of them were just using their phones. And I didn't really see anybody that I remember actually looking at any books that did not have barcodes. Everybody was just barcode obsessed, just trying to be as quick as possible because there were so many scanners there. And anyway, so they had a fair amount of books that were older, vintage, antique, what I talked about yesterday, collectible, rare books. And a lot of people just didn't bother. And this is I found like half a dozen or more older books or ones that required looking up and ones that were going to do better on eBay. I have another one up for sale that is not sold yet. That's much more valuable than the one I sold yesterday. So let me share with you the video. If some people just checked in, there's 8 people watching. Thank you very much. Feel free to comment or join the chat if you have any questions about anything. So let me share with you this video. Where is it? From yesterday.
I just sold this book, The Outline of Mythology by Bullfinch. Thomas Bullfinch. As you can see, it's a really cool looking book. Oops. It's got, I'll put it over here. I forgot what these are called, but it has all of this raised artwork here. Embossing, I believe. So this just looks really cool, the detail. This is a pretty well-known book. Preview of reviews. This is actually copyrighted 1913. The Outline of Mythology. The Age of Fable, The Age of Chivalry, Legends of Charlemagne by Thomas Bullfinch. Complete in 1 volume. So it's a very old book, over 100 years old. It's got some drawings too, I believe. Whoops. Yeah. And I picked it up in February at a library book sale for $1. And I just took an offer. I had it listed for $100. I just took an offer of $82 plus shipping on this. And the person wanted to pay right away and have me ship it right away. So this was a book sale where this was before everything was closed down clearly, and there were a lot of scanners in that sale who were scanning for Amazon, and they missed this. I don't know if anyone looked at it, but the second I saw it with all this cool embossing and how old it is, and just a really cool looking book, I immediately thought to look it up and took a flyer for $1 because I wasn't 100% sure that I could get a lot for it, but I felt pretty confident that I could. I initially thought I listed for 50. Did some more research, said, you know what, I'll list it for 100 and see what happens. And it didn't take too long, a couple months. 82 bucks.
All right. So that book is gorgeous. I would have just kept it. Yeah, I considered keeping it. Well, I mean, I guess you could say I considered keeping it, but just because it was really beautiful. But it's not a book that I would ever read. I mean, it would strictly be for decorative purposes and just to like share with guests that we had in the house. Put it on the shelf or put it somewhere and display it. It's definitely, I would say, the most like beautiful cover I've ever seen in terms of like a really old book. I mean, the book was 107 years old. uh, and I mean, just if you would have seen that, I mean, ask yourself, right, as a reseller, if you would have seen that at a book sale, wouldn't you have immediately picked it up at least to take a look at it, at least to check out the cover, just the cover alone? Even if I didn't open it, I would say for $1, I'll buy it, right? Even if it ends up not being worth anything, it's just a beautiful book, and I just couldn't believe it's not worth anything, just considering the way it looked. Um, and then when you see that it's from 1913, and the funny thing is, there was a guy there who I overheard talking to someone else who said that he was a rare book collector. I think he was a seller, but a book collector. And what was this guy thinking? Like, he's clearly not very good. I mean, unless he's only looking for items that sell for like $500 or something, which is ridiculous. How are you going to pass on a book that you can get, $100 or close to $100 for? Um, anyway, it blows my mind. I don't really understand, if you consider yourself a rare book collector, that you would pass. Yeah, Pat says, Brian said, nice score. I agree. And Pat says you probably made more on that single book than the scanners made on everything they found. Yeah, possibly, possibly. And it's just crazy to me because, I mean, it was February, and so it only took a couple months for it to sell. It's a small book, doesn't take up much space. And like I said, I have some others. I have this other one. When it sells, I'll share it with you. Yeah, I know, rare book collector. Exactly. I mean, what more do you want? Like, it's a 107-year-old book. Like, it's a gorgeous cover, spine. It's in great condition. I mean, you saw it. Considering how old it is, I mean, how many 100+ old books do you find that are in that good condition? I mean, clearly it's got some, as you call it, like corner rubbing and corner edge wear and that type of stuff, because it's an old book. But whoever owned it, or people that owned it, clearly did not toss it around. They didn't mistreat it. They maybe just sat on a shelf for a long time, and the spine was intact. So anyway, it's just an example uh, of people having blinders on as resellers. And I understand the logic of, I do Amazon only, right? Or not the logic, but just that's your thought. I mean, that's my thought process. When I first started, I guarantee you I missed books that were more for eBay or that were more valuable, um, than than the books I was looking for Amazon, right? When I was just scanning, and that you evolve as a reseller. But it blows my mind when a rare book collector or seller is just gonna pass up and not even, I don't even know if he looked at it. But anyway, so I would recommend, as a reseller, hopefully you would take away from this that if you're not currently selling on eBay, I recommend that you do, because there's a lot of very valuable books, and not just books. I mean, it can be all types of media. It can be CDs, it can be DVDs, it can be video games, audiobooks, even records, of course. So there's a lot of different media, of course, audio cassettes, VHS tapes. I mean, there's a lot of different stuff um, that you could miss if you only think about Amazon and not about expanding into eBay. Excuse me. Um, yeah, so real quick, South London Reseller said he missed the book. Let me just show you the beginning of it so you can see it. I won't show the whole video, but this is the
I
book
just sold this
here.
book,
Just show like
The
10
Outline
10
of
seconds.
Mythology by
Bullfinch.
Bullfinch. It's Thomas Bullfinch. As you can see, it's a really cool looking book. Oops. It's got,
So yeah, so that's the book there. It's a pretty gorgeous book, and I don't know. I've been reselling for almost 6 years now, and I haven't quite seen a book that cool. Yeah, because you could tell by the embossing and hot foil stamping that it was worth at least $20. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I figured, and then once I saw how old it was, I figured, oh, this could be worth some serious money. I briefly tried to look it up, and I couldn't find anything, but I figured for $1, I'll just take it, um, and it worked out. But yeah. So anyway, that was an example of in the vein of talking about what's worth reselling on eBay in terms of media. That was an example of something that is uh, as a Amazon reseller that you just probably would pass up. You see all these old books and say, "Oh no, I can't sell it on Amazon," and you move on. But I think it makes more sense if you plan on reselling becoming either a significant side or part-time income, or you eventually want it to become your main source of income. And if you have a job or other career or whatever, and you want to make reselling your full-time uh, career, job, business, then, or income, I should say your full-time income, then you need to diversify. So within Amazon, diversify, not only do FBA but do merchant fulfilled, sell all different types of books, and then diversify into eBay and reselling older collectible types of books. You don't have to be an expert, but what's an expert, right? I mean, am I an expert in? Am I a rare book collector like that guy claimed to be? Well, I pulled that out of the box and resold it for $82. So clearly, if he's doing that as a living, he's missing out on money. But so does that make me an expert? I don't know, but I know enough to pull that out of the box and say this could be worth some money and pay $1 for it, and then in a couple months flip it for good money. So through experience, common sense, you can become your as good as an expert as you need to be to make the money off of that stuff. Pat says, are you still doing any electronics? I remember you had a series for a short while about flipping VCRs and stereos. I did a while back. I did make some videos about, I got excited about doing electronics, excuse me, and I actually stopped doing electronics because I had too many issues with them getting damaged by the time that the buyer would get them. I had it happen so many times that I just decided to stop with the electronics. When things get back to normal and you can go into thrift stores and everything, uh, I usually do just take a look at the electronics just to see if there's anything that stands out to me. Um, I just have had bad luck, and so either it's bad luck, right? Either these items were someone just had, some mail, someone from the post office or FedEx or whoever just decided to throw it across the room or kick it or drop it or something. Because one of them that I sold, it was like a big CD changer. When I sent it, it worked. It was fine, had no major blemishes. And then the person got it, and it had this major dent on the side of it. And so either the customer decided to dent it and send it back, or they dropped it themselves, which is always possible, or it was somehow smashed during in transit, basically. So either I had bad luck, or I don't know how to properly pack the electronics. And I try to pack them, in a box that's well cushioned and has lots of packing material and bubble wrap and all that type of stuff, and then put that box inside of another box, and then put some bubble wrap and packing material around it, so that even if it's tossed, dropped, or maybe thrown or jostled around, that or something bumps into it, it still should be okay. But I'm not saying that all of the items that I resold, electronics I resold, had that happen, but enough to where I just was like, man, this is so frustrating. And these are typically items that sell for, these aren't $10 items. These are items that are selling for anywhere from like 40 to 100 plus dollars. And it's just frustrating that you sell it, you make the money, you're excited, and then, oh, I'm returning it because it doesn't work, or it's dented, or it's broken, and then I have to refund the money. So anyway, it's probably a combination of me getting better at shipping or at packing it, and selling more, right? Because if you sell them here or there, then it feels like all of them are being damaged or there's issues. Whereas if you're selling a ton of them, then probably the percentage is going to be lower. But anyway, if I see something good at a thrift store, I'll definitely probably look it up. And I don't know electronics that well, but I know it enough to where if I see a certain VCR or certain type of item that will stand out to me. I was slowly getting better with that with electronics when I was doing it, but decided to stop that for now. So yeah, so talked about CDs, types of CDs, types of books that are worth reselling on eBay and that stand out or that might not make sense on Amazon. And also, which I didn't talk about last time, was DVDs, which I've been selling a lot of because I've been listing a lot of them. Um, and again, this falls into the similar category or similar logic as some of the CDs and books. Is when it comes to DVDs, if you see, so as I'm going through Gaylords, as I'm sorting through the Gaylords, the DVDs for the Gaylords, I'm paying attention to, is this something that I've never seen before? Is it a unique title? So it could be a movie, a film, it could be a documentary, um, or it could be educational, right? Like this one that I just sold yesterday, the Gottman Institute, which I've heard of before. So it's DVD training DVDs for clinicians. Uh, so that's educational, right? And that's something that I sell a fair amount of. I find those whenever I find something that's educational or for professionals or training DVDs, I always want to look those up. I recommend always look those up. And a lot of documentaries too. Uh, I've sold a good amount of also like surfing or skateboarding documentaries. Documentaries are, I guess technically they're documentaries, but um, movies about skateboarding or surfing or other types of those specifically. Actually, I was going to say other types of sports, but those two genres can do well. A lot of times they're like, I just sold a surfing one. There weren't very many copies on eBay, and that type of stuff there can be like a steady, slow demand for it, but there is a demand. Um, and some of those things can be kind of hard to find, especially like a skateboarding or a surfing DVD. So unique titles for movies. If you see a movie, like I just sold one called, it was actually technically a documentary called Maiden Trip, which I never heard before. That's the thing. If you see the cover and the title and you say, I've never heard of that movie before. Now, if you don't ever watch movies, you don't know much about movies, then you probably haven't heard of a lot of them. But if you're like me and you've seen a lot of movies and you're a movie buff, then if I see a title or a cover and I'm like, I've never seen that before, then chances are it could be worth money. It's not guaranteed because there's just a lot of movies that I haven't seen before or haven't even seen the cover or heard of. But it's a good uh, indication that you should look it up for sure. So there's one called Maiden Trip, which was a documentary about a young girl who, like a teenager who navigated a boat or something or a ship through the ocean by herself or something like that. Anyway, I didn't find out exactly what it was about, but I looked it up and I sold it for like, I don't know, $14.99 or something like that recently. So that's an example of a unique title that stood out to me, but that was worth looking up and made me a little bit of money. Some other stuff. So workout DVD sets are really great. A lot of the beach body stuff When I first started reselling on eBay, the P90X would do really well. I used to find a good amount of those in Gaylords, and that would be like $25 to $30 flip, and I would list it and it would sell right away. That has changed. That particular one is not as popular as it used to be, because a lot of other titles have come out. I think they've come out with a more updated version of it, um, and uh, but I've come across a lot of other ones. Like there's Insanity. I just sold an Insanity 2 DVD set for like $11, but a lot of those different ones will do well. Those workout sets. I also sold another one that was rare. This guy named Les Mills. He has a whole. Well, he's a much older guy now, and like in his 80s, but he used to be this big training buff, and he's got a whole series. And I sold one of his. So if you ever find workouts DVD sets, I definitely, or even individual ones. Some of them that are more common, like the Billy Blanks and the Jillian Michaels and Pilates here and yoga there and that type of stuff. Uh, those types of ones might not be worth it, but the ones that are sets and look a little more fancy or a little more involved can be worth more money. Although you can put lots together of workout DVDs, of course. All yoga, all Pilates, all Jillian Michaels together, all Billy Blank, or all. There's one called Hip Hop Abs from Beachbody, which that guy Sean T has. There's a whole set of them you can put together. So there's a lot of different ways to try to sell those workout DVDs. Of course, a great moneymaker are TV box sets. Uh, I find a lot of TV box sets in Gaylords, and those are always exciting to find because you never know which ones are going to be worth the money. There was one that I sold a few weeks ago that I made a video. That was in a video that I made. Oh, geez, what was it called? I think Brian said that he had sold it too. Ooh, I can't remember, but I sold it for like $35 or something. The bar method. Right, that's another workout one. Um, so TV box sets can be really good. Either an individual season can do well if it's more rare, harder to find. But if you can get a whole series together and sell the whole series, that's even for a common, very popular TV show, you can still do pretty well. Like Friends, as an example, when I used to go uh, a couple of years ago, when I was really doing a lot of Gaylords, I would just find a ton of these Friends DVDs or Friends box sets, and I got together the whole, what is it, 10 seasons or whatever, and those can do really pretty well. I think they go for like $30 or more. Um, and so titles like that, I mean, Lost, Heroes, whatever it is, if you have the whole series, some of course are worth more money than others. And then certain series, there's Sopranos or stuff like that. So certain TV shows, if you have the whole series, will be worth even more money. So what you can do is you can just kind of collect them. There it is, Banachek. Yeah, Banachek. That was it. That was an older series from, I don't know, the 70s or 80s or something, which I had never heard of, that I sold for like $30 or $35. I can't remember. Um, so if you're if you're doing bulk or you're doing Gaylords or buying a lot of DVDs, uh, if you have one season or 2 seasons of a series, if it's not worth money individually, then you kind of wait till you get other ones to try to compile the whole series. Um, yeah, Lost is one. That's true. That's what I mean. If you have the whole series, it'll go quick, which is what I'm doing. I haven't been selling very many individual TV box sets. Only the ones like the Vanacek ones that I come across that are rare. There might be only 1 or 2 seasons, and it's unlikely I'll find the other season. Excuse me. Or if there's a one season that's worth $40, and it's probably worth it. Excuse me, to just sell that one. I sold this older TV show from like the 60s called The Wild Wild West. Uh, Not for a lot of money, but it was sealed, and I knew once it was sealed since it was sealed, that it was worth looking up. And it was unlikely I was going to find another season. I think it was either the first or second season, and I sold that one. So always be on the lookout for quality not quality, but for entire series. If you can get together a whole series, it's great. There was another reseller on one of the Facebook groups who does this with books, where he buys he'll buy individual books, but he'll also buy in bulk. Not like Gaylords, but he'll buy just bulk buys. And he puts aside certain books, categories or authors, and then slowly he compiles them into lots and then sells them for good money on eBay. He'll get together 10, 20 books of a certain genre about, like, I don't know, knives, or about World War II, or whatever it may be, and then he'll sell them. Books are a little more tough because there's so many more titles that it's a little harder to find that many unless you somehow have access to them, that many in the same genre. But DVDs and CDs are a little easier because there's not as many titles. So it's more likely that you'll come across a certain season, let's say for TV shows, for box sets. Um, Another thing to consider is new or sealed items. And this could be CDs as well. This could be video games. This could be a lot of different audiobooks. But for DVDs, like, I've been selling a good amount um, of new and sealed DVDs. I've actually almost sold all of them. I'm only down to like two that are left. Uh, and it seems that if it's sealed, even if it's a more popular title, not all popular titles, of course, but even more popular titles, that it still can be some good money. Like, uh, what is it called? Sleepless in Seattle is not going to go for good money sealed, or Gladiators. I don't know, but there's one I just saw, or there's a few that I sold recently, like Oklahoma. Um, what was the other one that I sold? I'm blanking right now, but yeah, just because it was sealed, so I can sell it for, varies, but for something, for decent money. So always be on the lookout for that as well, because even if it's a pretty popular title, sealed or new, it's gonna probably be worth checking out. So yeah, so unique titles, workout sets, oh, lots, of course. Now it can be for lots. I haven't found that I'm too successful if it's all different types of random movies. It's more of like, kids do really well. Maybe you could do it by a certain actor. What I tried to do, like comedy DVDs or action DVDs in lots, and I didn't wasn't able to figure it out, either auctioning them or doing buy it now. It just didn't seem to be much interest, and maybe I just haven't cracked that nut, so to speak, of how to sell uh, movies by genre. Unless it's like horror movies is an outlier that tends to do a little bit better, and of course, well, excluding kids here, but horror tends to do well. If it's really niche, like maybe it's concerts, in a certain musical genre or a certain artist or something like that, um, or maybe older movies. I've sold a couple of lots that were like black and whites, or just movies from, let's say, the 60s and older type of thing, or maybe all movies from the 80s. Um, you can kind of get creative with it, do some research on eBay and find out what makes sense. But what I've been doing with all the popular stuff is just doing wholesale lots, and those sell consistently. They don't sell for a ton of money, but it's a way to make a little bit of money and get them out of there, basically. Um, but I would, for lots, kids are always great. You can always make good money off of kids' DVDs, just the same as are with books. All right, guys. So I'm really glad everybody tuned in. We are. I'm going to wrap it up right now. It's been just about an hour. We have 6 likes, which is awesome. 12 people watching. I really appreciate everybody watching, showing up. I guess tomorrow we'll keep talking about the similar topic, although I will dive into video games, audiobooks, educational programs, records, and talk about that, for reselling that on eBay, and if we have time, maybe talk about some other stuff as well. But I think talking about maybe library book sales could be a good topic as well. you guys have any ideas for topics or things you want to talk about, you can always let me know in the chat or in comments. My beard is coming along. I shaved on Saturday. What is today? Tuesday. And so it's coming along. It's going to be my Flippin Live beard, because I already had a beard before, but I decided to start fresh, clean slate with the show, and go forward, right? And so I'm really glad to participate with you guys. It's been fun. And I will see you tomorrow. So tomorrow at 7 a.m. we'll have another show. Flippin' live, flippin' live, flippin' live. And if, like I said, if you guys have questions, if you have comments, please let me know. I'm working on a pre-recorded video right now, editing it, talking about selling merchant fulfilled, and then I have ideas for other future videos as well. So hopefully I'll finish editing that, if not today, tomorrow, and I can post it, and it'd be a real help if you guys could watch or could go check it out. And if you guys, by the way, are watching this now or in the future and are not yet subscribed to the channel, I really appreciate it if you could subscribe and make sure that you hit the bell notification, so you'll know when I have another video coming up. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you're able to list a lot, sell a lot. I know we can't source very much these days, but hopefully you're able to source in some way, locally or whatnot. And of course, guys, stay safe. Stay away from people. 6 feet. Stay safe. And I'll see you tomorrow. Take care, guys.